It's like 2 feet over. Like it might make a difference. Who knows?
Oh, don't touch anything. Okay, so we're just gonna get situated. Settle down. I know. Cameras.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
No. Wow. Woo. Woo.
Okay. So once we get situated, we're gonna be talking about Girls of Paper and Fire. I just need to get this link out to everybody real quick. And
No.
And I apologize. My son has to be here with me today. Live show link.
No.
So why don't we just start with
Yeah.
how, like, just kind of how we thought about it. So Alex, what did you think?
I didn't like it. I don't think that's really a surprise to anyone who's been on my channel at all lately. I give it 2 stars. I thought it was like a cool concept, just not well executed in pretty much any way.
I agree. Copy.
Where?
There we go. Sure. What did you think, Crystal?
I have to agree with you guys. I mean, I gave it a 3, but usually that was kind of like a minimum. It definitely was not the best executed book, but I did see the point she was trying to make.
Right.
Just not well done. And it's not her first book. I thought it was.
Is it really?
It's her third. I looked it up on Goodreads.
Dang. I could have swore that this was a debut.
It was her third book. I don't know if there were novellas or not, but
I think she started like she had like another series or something that came before this. Because I saw something that said like book 1 or something.
That's crazy.
Ooh.
So, where should we start? I think my biggest issues with the book, because I didn't like it either. I gave it 2 stars. I definitely had major issues just with the plot in general and like the writing style.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We know.
Is everyone situated?
Yeah.
Yay!
The writing just seemed like it was trying so hard to describe everything prettily. Only when that works in books, it's because it's doing that with a purpose. Like it's describing things that matter to the story, which she kind of hit on, I feel like, when she was describing their dresses when they went to the ceremony at the beginning of the book, because the dresses were an important part of the story. But it felt like for a lot of it, she was just describing things at random. So I really didn't care about any of her descriptions for the most part.
Yeah. For the dress thing, like I didn't understand it at first, but I thought back on it after you had made the comment in the group chat, and like that makes more sense to me. So,
Yeah, the
um,
dress thing reminded me of the Hunger Games.
did it?
True.
I haven't read
I
Hunger
didn't.
Games. I
Oh,
haven't
I
seen it
didn't.
either. So,
I didn't make that leap on my own, but now that you say that, yeah,
Da,
it
da,
kind
da,
of does.
because there's a
oh,
lot of
oh, oh,
descriptions of outfits and stuff in Hunger Games as well.
da.
noted. So yeah, but those are my main issues. And I was watching a review. I think it was by who was it by? Did I have it written down? I don't have a degree in reading. And something that she had pointed out was sorry, I'm all over the place. Just the whole I'm jumping right to the ending here, but the whole aspect of like the whole plot to like kill the king or whatever.
Yeah, that was very jumped and quick.
Well, I feel like specifically with that, I would have loved to see that more within the book,
Yeah,
like
the
just
whole book.
developing it. I think that would have made a much better story because to me, it felt like everybody was just like almost just meandering, and it was kind of honestly just really stale and boring.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were sucking up to the king more than anything else.
Like, how do you mean?
Kind of like praising him and stuff when they clearly didn't mean it. Or some of the girls didn't mean it, but
Yeah. I feel like in a situation like that, that's hard not to do that, though.
right. But towards the end, they were all of a sudden they didn't like him. Or in the not beginning to like probably the middle-ish. It was all they didn't like him. Let's kill the king. Where they could have done it, the whole book would have been a whole lot better.
Yeah, I just really wanted to see that fleshed out. I don't know. That's something that like really stood out to me when I watched that review. Do you have any thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, it just kind of like just what y'all were saying, that it just kind of seemed like everyone was like all of a sudden thrown in at the end that they were in on this plot. Like not everyone, but a couple of major characters who'd been there throughout the book. And she very easily could have just like subtly brought those things in earlier in the story than just like dumping it all at the end. Like I forget her name, but the girl who worked in the prostitution house who was just suddenly like, "Oh yeah, I was in on this," and then like dead 2 seconds later or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird to me. I didn't. It kind of like threw me for a loop, and I don't like it when books do that. When like there's this whole plan, and then it's just all of a sudden revealed like at the very end. Like I'd like to at least see some of that. Like I thought it would have been really cool to see this plan like developing, and then like, but we know as the reader that Lay doesn't know it.
Yeah, that would have been cool too.
I don't know. I'm babble a lot, so. I don't know. Any other points?
Was the Ren and Lei relationship, did it jump pretty quickly in the story? Like I didn't feel like I read any of it till boom, they were a couple.
Well, so I listened to it on audiobook for most of it because I couldn't stand just actually physically reading it. But I feel like I missed some of it because from a lot of the like reviews I've seen, a lot of people think that it was developed at the very least like semi okay. But I definitely felt like it was very insta-lovey, but I also might have missed something there.
Like, I felt like I did too, because all of a sudden it was like, boom, they were together. And I don't remember at any point until like the middle of the story they were together.
I kind of called the romance the first time Rin was introduced. Like when they were in the room and like everyone was like, "Oh, who is this special ninth girl? There's never been a ninth girl." And then Rin just like straight wouldn't look at her. And I was like, "Oh, that's the love interest."
I
But,
do recall. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
I didn't really think it was insta love because for me it did build a little bit. It was just that both the characters were just incredibly flat and incredibly like poorly written overall. That I think any relationship, even if it had been well developed, would have felt flat and awkward and just like not right.
Yeah, I completely agree 100%. They were definitely pretty flat characters, and it made it hard. I don't know, maybe that's part of why I didn't really notice a lot of the romance because they were so flat. So
Like, I don't know if that's the young adult part of the story, but it was very flat.
I'm not sure if it's young adult or not,
I
because
don't think that's
yeah, I've read a lot of really good young adult. Hey,
I've always read a lot of young adult. Like I read a lot of adult too, but like there's some fantastic young adult that delves into like characters and relationships that's just like incredibly well done. And I think this book's problem was not that it was young adult. It was just like a kind of crappy book.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
yeah, I don't think it's because it's young adult. Because exactly, I've read a lot of really good young adult. A lot of really good young adult that has amazing characters. They're well fleshed out, all of that jazz.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
I did get someone from the book club, which where we read this book, says this is kind of along the same veins as the YA thing. From Michelle, they said, "I'd love to hear some thoughts on the whole YA thing. I feel like the aspect may be why I couldn't do this book. I don't really read YA, but loved the first Miss Peregrine's book, which was a YA also, but a different genre. Basically, I'm wondering if the book was just written for a younger audience and that's why I didn't care for it. Was it targeted for a teen audience?" So what do you guys think on that?
I mean, it obviously was targeted for teens, but I read a lot of YA, and I can kind of tell when my issue with a book is that it feels too young for me, because I have felt that way with books before, that it's kind of like if I was 15, I would have enjoyed it better. And that wasn't really how I felt with this book. Book just didn't feel like it was well done.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous with that. But Crystal, if you have extra thoughts on that.
No, I have to agree with that. I think it was just the book itself just was poorly executed on the young adult side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I don't think, like you said, it is obviously targeted towards teens, but I don't necessarily know that YA would be like why the book is unappealing, I guess. Let's see. I didn't take very good notes. I'm noticing now. The only other thing I have is just the whole victim blaming within the book in my notes that I have here.
Do you want to start with that?
So I don't know. I'm not very great at like articulating my thoughts, but so I definitely did notice it like upon reflection. Um, and it does kind of sit wrong with me. And it's basically the whole idea of how everyone would praise her for not sleeping with the king, and just the idea that because she was being praised for not doing that, that the other girls who did are like somehow lesser. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I don't like that message, but I don't think that that was her intention when she was writing the book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think she intended that. I think
Oh no.
she was just trying to make Lei look better. Like not better than the other girls, but just like make Lei seem like this very strong character. And that was sort of like an easy way to do it, to just like have her resist and then have the other girls be like, "Oh wow, no one's ever done this before."
Right, yeah, exactly. Just like a way to show just the general like this isn't okay kind of a thing. So I don't know.
I mean, that's why I'm almost curious about the sequel, but I don't think I'll ever rush out to grab it.
I'm certainly not gonna pick up the sequel.
I
So-
probably
Yeah.
won't.
Man, I wish Brianna was here. If you guys don't know, people who are watching, Brianna was supposed to be here, but she had something to do and she couldn't make it. So, and she actually really loved this book, so I'm upset that we can't have her perspective on all of this, because I feel like we're just kind of dogging on the book.
Yeah, she actually 5-starred it on Goodreads.
I know. She read it twice in like within 3 months. That's how much she loved it. So I don't necessarily know if there's any other points, but I didn't have like a whole lot of points just because I found myself fairly distracted while reading it because I wasn't very interested. So unless you guys have other points, we can trail off and just talk about other book things.
Yeah, I felt distracted reading it too because there are a lot of readathons that happen during reading this book too.
Right, and
So
you know, reading it
one was
over a month.
Yeah. And it was easy to just put down and just say, "Oh, we'll read it later."
The only other major point I had, like I had a couple other like small things that didn't matter too much.
Go for it.
I had a couple points, but like the world, I never felt like I understood any aspects of the world fully, apart from just the very basics. Demons are on top, and then steel cast, and then the people. But I could never like grasp what that meant or why, or like what even a demon was. And I don't know if she meant demons like as part of Chinese or Malaysian culture, because I know she's Malaysian. I don't know if demons means something different for them. But if it was like a cultural kind of demon that's like part of their history, but I couldn't really understand what a demon was, because what a demon is in Western culture is obviously very different than like a half human, half animal creature.
Right.
Like, were they supposed to have some sort of like magical abilities?
I don't necessarily think so.
Okay.
Because I don't recall seeing like a demon throughout the book like do anything magical. Unless I'm just completely missed something.
Yeah, I was reading a review of the book, and the demon is the highest class. And so they take on like the animal characteristics. And then the
Right.
steel cast is the half human, half demon, which is the middle class.
Yeah, but even the demons were like, they had to be at least partially human. I feel like,
At least
or
a
not
little
like
bit.
partially human, but like
Humanoid.
at least.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
that was what I could never get, like, because I could never like picture the distinction between like the demons and the steel cats, because they were all just like at least somewhat humanoid to me.
Like they were, yeah, like it wasn't like they were straight up animals. They had at least a little bit, like just enough human in them to make them like physically move around like a human, I guess. At least in my head, as I was reading it, that's how I pictured it.
They had like human brains, at least. They had human minds. They could think like people and they talked like people. So
Right.
they had to have like some sort of people aspect to them, but like they were also fully demon. And I guess I just like never fully understood what a demon was.
Right. That would have been great to understand that a little more. I also think I would have loved to see, I was just thinking about this on the whole world building thing. I think I would have liked to see a lot of like the politics. This kind of goes along with the whole plot thing that I mentioned earlier, just like understanding more of the politics of this, obviously the political system in it, because I feel like the next book is going to be more focused on that. So at least having some sort of foundation would have been great.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sorry about my child. Okay, that's enough. Hey, go watch B movie. Yeah. Well, is there, I know you said you had a couple points. Is there any other points that you had?
Nothing major. Just like small things, like the sentences were just incredibly long all the time and just like felt like they encompassed so many different points in each sentence that made it feel messy. And like she would describe people as having animal qualities, but like the actual humans, not the steel or the demons, like several times she described Rin as cat-like. Very early on she'd say like she had cat eyes or she moved like a cat. And like that kept confusing me like really early on, because I kept thinking that like Rin was literally a cat or part cat because of like the demon animal thing.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, wait, isn't she a paper girl? But I don't know. Like those are just like small things. I didn't have anything major. I think we covered like most of the major things.
Right, I think so too. Okay. So what are you guys reading right now?
The Virgin Suicides.
How is that?
8 things. I just started The Virgin Suicides today. It's good. It's a reread, so like I love it kind of.
That's good.
I'm reading On the Come Up right now by Angie Thomas.
How's that?
It's pretty good. I'm just over halfway through it.
Oh. So yeah, I heard that one like I heard that it's still good, but that it's not as good as the other one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, she does reference it a little bit in the story. She references the Hate U Give.
Yeah, that one. Well, I'm reading Tangerine, so that's good so far. I'm planning to finish it by tomorrow.
Yeah, we're supposed to be getting a snowstorm up in New Hampshire, but probably not enough for a snow day. So probably no finishing books for me tomorrow.
Oh no.
Oh
no. Hey, can you stop pushing buttons, please? No?
1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
So the comments have not been very active. If of course anybody who's watching can go ahead and comment, but I think that there's nobody commenting. So
I don't see any comments either. I have the group chat thing open and I don't see anything.
well, I think we might all just be the only ones watching.
Might
I
be.
think so.
That's
Pro-
fun.
Probably a Sunday night is not the best night for a
Yeah.
live. Either.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well,
But it's a lesson learned.
it's okay. I mean, I didn't expect a ton of people just because
Hey.
my channel is really small still, so
Hey.
Yeah.
Yay. Hey.
Do you have a channel, Crystal?
I do not.
Hey.
I will eventually.
you should totally start.
Oh.
My child keeps trying to touch everything. So, okay, well, if we don't have anything else to talk about, we can probably go ahead and end the live stream.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.